By the way, do either of you own a computer? You do own a computer? My condolences. Yes. You know, by the way, though, a deck of cards is a lot like a computer when you think about it. And I know you probably haven't, so let me show you. You see these cards, these aces, and they are the four of them, the ace of hearts, the ace of clubs, the ace of diamonds, and of course spades, are like little bits of information stored in my cardboard computer. Now, of course, during the time that you're placing these bits of information into a computer, they are stored in various places that only the computer knows. And you see, let's say you store more information. Well, all that information is just one big jumble. And you can see I will jumble it up just a bit. In fact, if you could look at the hard drive itself, you would find no ace here and no ace there. So let's access this little cardboard computer. All I have to do is take a little bit of information out of it, right out of the center. All I do is integrate the circuits, push the return key, and just like that, an ace comes to visit. You see, I was able to get the information I wanted. Let's take another look at this. Well, no ace on top, no ace down below. Let me show you how versatile this computer is. You see, if I take a little bit more of information right out of the center, integrate those circuits just like that, push the button, another ace, just that fast. How about that? Now, you know, the funny thing is, you said you both own computers. I always get those little error messages on the screen. You've seen those before?
Oh, yeah.
And I don't understand that because I know there isn't possibly anything I could be doing wrong.
No.
Okay. You know, let me just show you. I integrate the circuits. I push what I believe is the correct button. You see, but I don't get the information I wanted. So all I have to do is reset the computer. And let's see, I think I'll push that button. I think that's the correct one. Yes. You can see the information now that I wanted is there. By the way, it's time for you to get to push one of my buttons.
Okay.
Don't take that the wrong way, of course.
Go, girl.
Let's take a little bit of information out of here. I will integrate those circuits, oh so carefully. And if you would just push any one of the imaginary buttons. Oh, that's perfect. Actually, you see, you push the reverse button. And you see, now the card comes out face up. Just for you.
Fantastic. That was great.
Here is our explanation for the computerized deck. The only preparation is you draw the four aces out of the pack. The rest of the pack is unprepared. You are going to do a switch of some cards, and I'll show you how to do this to begin with. As I am talking about the aces and gesturing, I push off the top three cards of the pack, and I use the top card as a pointer. I'm going to re-square these over here, and as I do, I will get a break under the second card. This is finished using as a pointer. It pops onto the deck, and now I have three cards broken away from the top of the pack. I now pick up the aces, and they come to the deck, allowing the front edge to go completely square with these. At the back, I'm going to keep a break with my thumb between those three cards below, just as you can see. As I talk about the aces and the fact that the deck of cards works like a computer, I will now show these aces. I thumb off the first one, and I use the pack to flip it over face down. Notice how the upper pack will kind of cover that as it goes. That's one. At the moment I flip over the second one, I'm going to drop those cards on top of the ace, the second ace. I now only have two aces in my hand. I now bring this pack back, and I thumb it over, and then the last one. Let me show you what that looks like quickly at full speed, of course. There are my aces and three indifferent cards below. I pick this up, you can see it from the back. That's 1, 2, I drop, 3, and then 4. You're going to place the aces, you tell your audience, into different parts of the deck, just like a computer stores information. Now I can turn over these top 2 cards, because remember, these are aces. But here I now have 3 indifferent cards below that. The first ace, as I run my thumb down, is going to go to the very bottommost card of the pack. Right there, and that ace goes in. Now don't worry if your audience knows that that is exactly the bottom or not. It really doesn't matter. But that's where the first card goes in. The second ace, which you can actually flash as you're holding it, your thumb is going to run down the pack and it is going to get 2 cards right there. The next ace goes in so that there are 2 cards there between that ace and the next ace. These next 2 cards are actually indifferent cards, so do not show them to your audience. Just draw them off and place them in toward the middle of the deck. The idea is that you're carefully placing 1, somewhat carefully placing 2, and now you speed up the pace a little bit and put the other 2 in and square the pack. Now the aces have gone into different parts of the deck. You still have an indifferent card on top and 2 aces hidden below it. On the face of the pack, of course, you have an indifferent card, an ace, 2 cards, and then an ace. If you wish, you can throw in an overhand shuffle to mix things up even more, and here's a quick explanation of that. As I hold the cards in overhand shuffle maneuver here, I'm going to draw off a pack of cards. That's the top pack of cards. Now I can then shuffle off individually a number of cards. Notice how my little finger keeps a break. I can then throw this pack on top, and as I do that, I hold another break. So you're going to be holding 2 breaks. I apparently square these cards up. Of course, you do nothing to change this. And now I cut the cards to the table. There goes the bottom, actually back to where it started. I can throw a couple of cuts in with these cards because it doesn't matter here. And finally, this pack goes back on top. Apparently, you have mixed the cards as well, and now you're ready to proceed. The first thing you show is that there is no ace near the top, and that is a single card turned over. Leave it face up on top. Turn the pack over and show that there is no ace that came to the face. You draw off with these fingers this card below, and there's a good reason for this that you will see in just a moment. I turn it over, place it back underneath, and I'm ready to show and produce the first ace. You now grab a small section of cards out of the middle. It does not matter how many. Not a large chunk and not too small. I pull them out and I square them up. I am going to faro shuffle these cards in to the top of this pack over here. In the faro shuffle, all you need to do is weave the cards back and forth a little bit. And all it matters is that at least the top 5 or 6 cards of this pack get interwoven perfectly, so it is not a difficult move. I now push this center pack forward about half the length. Holding like this, I can now allow this pack to fall forward just by tipping, and there it goes. Now you are ready to produce the first ace. This is going to use what is called the plunger principle. As I push this through like a plunger, it will push out cards up front. When I do this, I hold the pack lightly on the sides. Don't put a lot of pressure, just lightly. And this entire pack will push cards through because of how they are interwoven. That will be your first ace. When you try it and see that that works, you'll really love it, believe me. I now take this pack of cards which is extending out, and I spin them around off these fingers, taking them out of the pack and setting them on top. At this point, you will have an ace on top here. So you're now going to do a double lift. turn this over and show, of course, there is still no ace on top. Now this is the move I was talking about a moment ago. No ace on top. I now turn the pack over. No ace on the face. Now by drawing this card out underneath, I hide that ace from the audience, secretly reversing it. I draw this out, turn it over, slide it back in. That helps hide the ace. I now have a reversed ace under the top of the pack. I now turn the entire pack face up, and I'm going to do that Pharaoh shuffle technique again. I pull out a small group of cards from the center, squaring them against the pack. Finger goes on top to line everything up, and now I do a small Pharaoh of cards. It only matters that those cards right there are perfectly woven together, small pack on top. I tell my audience I integrate the circuits, allow that pack to fall forward, push, and there you will have your next ace. Remember, the third ace is 2 cards down, just so you know where it is. You're going to slide this packet out, place it on the face. Now you're going to do this again, but it's going to have a failure factor. Show you what I mean. I do my little Pharaoh. I allow these cards to fall forward, and now when I push, I'm not going to get an ace. So what you have to do at this point is you tell your audience you're going to reset the computer. Remember, there's actually an ace hiding under there. Whenever you do the plunger principle back and forth, you are diminishing the packets, the number of cards. So once I push this back through, when I push this forward again, I will now get an ace showing, as if I have reset it, and now I get the correct information. That's the third one. Pivot these out, place them here, turn the pack over, and you are ready for the last one. Now for the last ace, I usually take a small group of cards, and I tell my audience this is your big chance to push one of the computer's buttons, for example. I integrate the circuits. I allow these cards to fall forward. I ask somebody, if you'd like, just push any one of the buttons on the back. They will touch anywhere you want. You now say, ooh, that's the perfect one. Take a look. If I push these through, the last ace comes out face up. Be sure to watch this explanation through a couple of times and the presentation so that you have all of these details perfectly clear in your mind. I know you will enjoy performing the computerized deck.